Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Amalayam Raja Jasa Saraka Ida Today is a very important day for Sri Lankans. It's called Poson full moon. Historically very important to Sri Lanka because second Buddha, Venerable Mahinda Thero, he came to the 2036 to the Sri Lanka. Venerable Devanapita was the king in Katugasthota. He was came along with the other two monks and one upasaka. He just came from India, that called Jambudipa, and he mentioned to the king Tissa, Devanapita Tissa, the king, we are the monks, we are the Buddha's monks, disciples. We came to see you with the compassionate towards you from India. So that's a great thing. In Sri Lanka had the kind of previously some spiritual knowledge, spiritual side, many different spiritual belief. Buddhism also there was some, but not properly brought to the island. So King Devanapita had the great friends from India, Emperor Ashoka. Emperor Ashoka, after his conquer the world by the war, he decided to conquer the world with the Dhamma, Buddha's teaching. And in order to do that, he make 84,000 Buddhist temples, signs all around India. Because Buddha's teaching 84,000 topic, Asusara Dhasa, 84,000. So that's why all that temples is Dhamma term. And then he came to the with the Buddha's Sutta, Abhidhamma, Vinaya, all Tripitaka Dhamma, and Theravada tradition, they were teaching and learning and practicing. So brought to the Sri Lanka, Venerable Mahinda Mahathera, And Sri Lanka had the great culturally and all that proper language, Pali language, and culturally all that things develop the proper way. And before the Venerable Mahinda, it wasn't much uh, uh, properly done. That's why Venerable Mahinda uh, ordained many uh, people, many Sri Lankans ordained and build up the Buddha Sasana at Sri Lanka. So this is the very important things for our historically important to our country in Sri Lankan and Buddhist. The Buddhism established in Sri Lanka that called Mahavihara Anuradhapura and many big different educational centers, all kind of things develop in Sri Lanka. That's amazing thing. Many internationally from China, from India, and later on many other countries, many visitors, many uh, uh, wonderful people came to Sri Lanka, study Dhamma, practice the Dhamma, and carry the Dhamma to all around the world. So that's where our Sri Lankan monks those days they dedicate their knowledge and their experience, share with other native people. And if those days it was Buddha's teaching, Venerable Buddhaghosa also came from India. He translated the old Sinhalese uh, 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 Buddhist books to the Pali. If he didn't come to Sri Lanka those days, today it's a Sinhalese language we have to study in order to learn Buddha's teaching. So, however, Sri Lankan monk uh, dedicate to the Dhamma, the survive the Buddhism, and maintain the Buddhist teaching all around the world. So this is a wonderful time to think about today as a full moon. Many people they're supposed to go to temples and they are observing uh, uh, 8 precept, 10 precept, and 5 precept whatsoever. They are in order to practice in Dhamma, they are observing specific principles. And for the spiritual life, practicing generosity and practicing meditation, vipassana meditation, that called insight meditation, samatha meditation, tranquility meditation. There's all kind of meditation we are practicing. Name of the Buddha, name of the venerable, noble, venerable Mahinda Mahat Thero. So this all kind of practice, spiritual life, we are very familiar. So today, as uh, a great full moon day time, I would like to uh, explain one of the little bit about Buddha's teaching about inquiry mind, which is Kalama Sutta. And Venerable Mahasangha, along with the Mahasangha, Gautama the Buddha those days visited place to place, time to time. So we have to aware what is the Kalama Sutta, when, how it has happened, and what is the teaching of the Kalama Sutta, what kind of benefit we can learn the spiritual side. So that's kind of things. So this is amazing thing. We're very happy to uh, explain and who is the Kalama. Kalama is a kind of people who used to live in India And today we call New Delhi area. The Buddha's is a time it was Kosala kingdom, part of that kingdom. It's a New Delhi area that called uh, then that area he visited, and there the wonderful things happens over there, which set forth the principles that should be followed by a seeker of truth. That's the Kalama Sutta purpose of the meaning, which contain standard things are judged by belongs to frameworks of the Dhamma. The four solas taught in the Sutta pointed out the extent to which the Buddha permitted suspenses of judgment in the matters beyond normal connection. The solas show that the reason for virtuous life does not necessarily depend on behalf in rebirth of uh, retire written, but one mental well-being acquired through the overcoming of greed, hate, and delusions. So, however, the Buddha's teaching, this when the uh, Buddha visited to the that area, Kesaputta, and they have occasion to bless one, and people heard about the uh, Sakyaputta uh, venerable Buddha, Lord Buddha coming to that city, and people were so happy because his great quality, heard about his very popular those days, and people were so happy to see him, and they are gathering and welcoming to him. Then Buddha arrived to the Kalama's Kesaputta uh, uh, city, and people who the people who live over there, they're very knowledgeable, wise people around there. Then when the Buddha come to the town, they invite him, uh, take care of him, treat him, and welcoming to him. And then many people come and just respect him and bowing down and sit aside and asking day to day their information, exchange each other, greeting each other, and they sit, and they were Buddha was very comfortably. They listened to them. They were saying something. Many other different kind of religious leaders, most of time visiting them. Their only problems they saying, this is the truth, all others are not true. And everybody saying my teaching is right, others are wrong. So many, the Buddha's time they had 62 religions. According to Brahmajala Sutta, 62 religions were existing. So these many religious leaders came to and teach their what they believe they were saying. So then in this time, and they were most of the people, they were surprising, and they were very carefully listen to the every guru or teachers. And same time that when the Buddha come, Buddha's teaching also, they were thinking same way they were treating, like same way with other teachers previously visited their city, and they were always saying, "We are right, I'm right, other teachings are wrong." So that's why wondering. So and they explained to the Buddha, we have very curiosity about other teachers saying this thing. We were wondering about you. So nice people. They're directly talking to him and discussing about it, and they had a kind of doubt about other teachers. And then Buddha said, "Yes, my friends, you are right direction. You've been doubt about the others' teaching, so that's a good thing." So today also we have to aware, even the Sri Lanka. I'm wondering, some monks stay Siddhartha Gautama born in Sri Lanka, and it's just a kind of wrong teaching. So we can see historically everything in India and everything. Jambudvipa we call the Buddha's everything with the evidence, with the Emperor Ashoka's all that letters, the Sila Lekana we call, all these things they existing today. So why today some monks saying Siddhartha Gautama has been born in Sri Lanka? I mean, this is a wonderful, good credit for the Sri Lanka, but it's not true. So there's so many monks, so many name of the Buddhism, the different way they interpretation the Buddha's teaching. That's very sad. So we don't want to someone who telling lie about. That's why we are not comfortable about it. So this is the time we have to know how to find the truthfulness. That's a very good word called inquiry mind. So many people say in many philosophical teaching, but this is the time Buddha was so friendly, explain to them and how to find the real truth. That Pali term were called ma anussavena. So some people saying, I heard about it, the repetition, or kind of heard about historically, I heard this thing. So don't take that thing seriously. If you heard from your ancestors or relatives, whomever, uh, that you heard about anything about, just you have to be not to believe it. So some people saying, Buddha said, Ma paramparai. It came from my ancestor and from my uh, parents, and that way it came in. Even though something came from that also is still not to believe it. Ma itikiraya. Don't believe it if it is for it is kind of a saying. This is a kind of a law of things in the culturally we are doing it. So that also not believe it. Ma pitaka sampadhanena. We had the very uh, great books. It came in our books. That's why we believe it. So even though the coming that thing through the book, that also we are not trust. The other thing is called ma takka hetu. It's good to have it good arguments logically, because of the logical is the truth, but that is also not to believe it. Ma naya hetu, according to my system, our system, I it should not believe it. Ma akara parivitakena, and somebody has recited something very beautifully, very respectfully, beautiful thing, nicely said. So that's also not to believe it. Ma ditti nijjhana katya. It is something for your belief and for your system. It comes, but that is still not to take it to the truthfully. Ma babbarupakaya. Some monks are very convincingly talking. They're very powerful speak. Some people, that's why they believe it. So that also not to trust. Ma samano no garu. This is a thing I heard from my teachers. That's why I believe it. Some people believe it, but Buddha said that also not to trust. So that's kind of terminology. That's kind of way. When you seek in the truthfulness, you better to aware and compare and just all that way. And a wise person who believe it truthfulness according to the this all kind of doubt, and go through all the doubt and make sure if it is something uh, good for you, something good for your society, your family, something good for your happiness, that thing is only good for us. So that's why not to the teacher, or not to even though high ranking person mentioned to you, not to wise person or somebody who respectful, no matter what, still you have to be listen. You have to be mindfully watch. Can you believe it or not? You have to make sure what are they are talking, and you have to compare with the rest of the your experience. So that way you can find out the truth. Like goldsmith, goldsmith theory. Man who golden worker, he bring the little piece of the gold, he cut it, chop it, and he is melted, and finally he find the right way and make a good ornament and to as a final product. Same way you can listen and yourself and make sure and whether it's truth or false, and that way you can uh, that have to be take it seriously after you all that investigation. So better to investigate, so not to just believe it. And we have to not only listen, we have to trust, we have to uh, 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 go through all the details, and if it is not fit into you, not to believe it. Then even though Buddha mentioned that wise people and the Kalama people, even though don't believe the Buddha, and you yourself compare yourself, learn yourself, and that kind of things Buddha mentioned to them. That time, uh, Buddha mentioned very wonderful things, and greed, hatred, and delusions. Someone who practice five precepts: not to kill, not to stealing, not to do sexual misconducting, not to lie. That four thing especially. With the greediness, someone do that kind of things. And that's a kind of practical manner to ask the people someone who practice, who having the doing this kind of bad thing with the alone with the greediness. That is bad. That is unfair. That's not good. So that's why someone with the greediness, someone who practice greedy, is more negative, more painful, more difficult to society. Someone who doesn't have greediness, that's a very kind of blessing. So greediness is a very important thing to eradicate or take it off. So in order to for especially this like full moon day, we are observing precept and we are practicing generosity. When you're doing generosity, greediness can fade away. So someone who having the angry person, people these days, a lot of biggest problems, angriness, people get mad, anger, that's disturbing for our society. So Buddha mentioned someone with the anger, killing, with anger, stealing, with anger, doing other unwholesome activities, or telling lying, untruthfulness. So that is that anger is like a fire. Anger can make many damage. So anger we have to eradicate. Anger is always troublesome. Our society today is the greed and hatred. Anger making big disturbance. So that's why the Kesaputta people, Kalama people, learn from the Buddha, and there's a practical manner. Delusions, the next one, third one. All the negative forces. Someone who ignorance, that doing some with ignorance, killing, stealing, sexually misconducting, and lying. That all kind of things making trouble to our society today. So all the negative forces with the mention to that Kalama people. So that's through this sutra about how to find out the things as it is, and how to something damaging our life, someone who having more greed, hatred, delusions. That's all troubles. The other thing also Buddha mentioned to uh, not greediness, not anger, not delusions. So that is good thing. That's comfortable thing. Someone who having uh, that kind of, we call the Pali term kusala mula, akusala mula called lobha dvesa moha, kusala mula called alobha advesa amoha. So someone who having positive way, no any greediness, no any attachment to anything, our worldly things, not to attach. The things are existing all the time. But if you attach to it, that make a trouble. So just let it be that way. So not to attach. How peaceful when someone who practicing not to attachment. So let it go. So this is a good thing. And someone who living with the loving kindness, someone who doesn't have anger, that person is very easy to associate. People like that kind of people, and that make very helpful, even though animals. they feel that emotions. So better to that positive emotion, not to anger. Ignorance. No ignorance. Acting wisely. That's good thing. So that's why very important people who generally call 5 principles. Panatipata, Adinadana, Kame Sumichachara, Musawada, and Suramere. The basic rules about the Buddhist teaching. Someone who properly acting with that 5 principles, make him blessing. The world can be so beautiful. Today, everywhere, every corner of the world, big struggle because of the greed, hatred, delusions. Someone who understands that the reality of the greed, hatred, delusion, they can calm down, they can make a beautiful world. Only the 5 principles, there's the 5 rules, very helpful to our society to build up. So that Panchasila, that kind of things, someone who practicing, that's wonderfully. And same time, the Kalama people, the Buddha advised on them, live with the great kind of poor teaching he trying to mention, to explain to them. That called Brahma Vihara. What's the Brahma Vihara mean? Brahma is those day in India, even though today, Brahma is a very important god, creator. Is very respectful. And the Buddha, our parents are very similar kind of situation. Great mind they have. This is a divine quality. Brahma Vihara mean divine quality. You all know the name, but I don't know whether you are practiced or not. Pali word that called Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upekha. Metta mean loving, dearestly, like a friendly manner, and Karuna means kindness, compassionate. Mudita is sympathetic joy, and Upekha is equanimity. So this wonderful spiritual things, if we can practice, we can see the result of our life. This very life. You don't need to be wait for the next birth. In this very life, if the Buddha encouraged to Kalamaputta, the Buddha encouraged them to first someone who having the kind thought. This is a kind of meditation instruction, loving kindness practice, and all directions, east, west, north, south, upper and down, boundlessly. Someone who practice loving kindness thought, metta thought, kind thought, to the no any specific people, just generously, just all living being mean, including animals, human being, your enemy, your neighbors, and your relatives, all facelessly. Just keep good thought for them, friendly thought with them. That kind of thought you can develop inside. That's a very simple and easy thing to do. And someone who practicing kindness uh, with the loving thought, that person's anger is running away, and then no more anger, because he's at the very compassionate kindness toward to the himself and his neighbors, associate people, whole world. So this is a very good thing, and many direction they develop: upper, down, east, west, north, south, all direction, and maybe that called 10 direction also, but basically at least 6 directions: human being, divine being, all beings to wish to the metta thought, friendly manner, like a friends, all being friends, no enemies. So that thing, if you develop, that's very simple. You can keep more and more. That is a wonderful thing. That is a that kind of metta thought, maitri thought, from parents toward to the children. That's why we call, Buddha said, Brahmati Mata Pitaro. Mother and father having that great quality. There's a first quality called metta, metta chitta. So, according to the Karniya Metta Sutta, there's so many things, 14 things they are teaching how to develop your kindness, metta thought. Karniya Metta Sutta, not for the recited only, that's the Dhamma teaching. It's very helpful to develop our third eye, our insight. So, metta thought is very important to practice ourselves, to starting especially the full moon day like today, and it easy to develop many directions. So you can be a good character yourself, you can be rejoiced, you can be earn the happiness. So the material things don't bring the happiness. Even though it brought it, it is very temporary. This kind of happiness forever, entire your life. Being a loving, lovely person, kind person. So that's why, because this is one of the Mahabrahma who practice, one of thing is Metta Vihari, living with the loving kindness. So it is all directions. Someone who practice, they can earn spiritual path. So other thing is someone who kindness very important. Kind to yourself, even though you are kind, but you don't have anything materially to help someone, but you have great kind thought. Someone who really miserable, you don't have any things to give them, but if they ask him, but still you have your feeling, your kindness toward to them. That's very important thing. That also your parents toward your children, their children, they have the kindness equally. All children same for the parents. That's why parents are Brahma level. So Brahmati Mata Pitaro. So kindness and compassionate, very important. If you can develop that two things, kindness, compassionate, you can be a heavenly life. And the great people who protect in that kind of quality. People not for the having the muscles and things and loan, and beautiful doesn't make any sense. Someone who had the great quality, that's the real people. That's the important. As a Buddhistic way, we have to practice this kind of things. Not only precept, we are practicing great quality like Satara Brahma Virana, four noble stage, and to talk about metta and karuna. Then other thing is called third one called mudita. What is a mudita is? Sympathetic joy. You know, sometime you may be not everything success or rich enough. Probably your neighbors are very rich, and most of people feel jealous about them, angry about them, because you don't have but they have. We all came to the same way. We came to this world the same way, but some are poor, some are rich. So if you are jealous to someone who having everything, it doesn't make any sense. It's better to have great sympathetic joy rather than jealous, thinking, oh, I don't have best car, but I have this little bike. I'm so glad my neighbors had a successful life. They have the great quality, great equipment, great thing, more success, nice house and things like that. Rather than jealous, try to rejoice. Try to make it as a blessing to you. Think about, I'm so proud I'm living with that kind of rich neighborhood. You have to be enjoyed rather than jealous, rather than anger with them. So that's why sympathetic joy is very important. When the parents taught the children, and if the children go beyond to the parents, well educated, get the good position, and doing a lot of activities, and maybe your parents are not that much strong, and they are not they may be uh, different capacity, but you have the big capacity because of your parents. Without any jealous, they're trying to give all the enough support for your success, your life. So that's very important. So parents are making great blessing towards the children. That's very important. And uh, some parents are maybe not close to the Dhamma, and that's why we can, time to time, we can heard kind of troubles, and some parents are not the same as everybody. But we cannot live without parents. We are not ever exist into this world without parents. So that's why parents are very respectful, very important to our life. They are our early teachers. Without their support, their nourishment, their taking care of us, we cannot exist. Even though you grown up, they cannot help you, but still we have to think about, because they brought to us, they didn't kill us. They take care of us. That's why we have to respect. Many children, very arrogant mind, that arguing with their parents, and very sad thing. So that's why the parents have the great quality. We have to respect it. So everybody is not same, but at least we have to respect to the Dhamma. Dhamma is very important things. So sympathetic joy, very good thing to everybody in the society to practice. No hate, no jealous, and enjoy it. Someone who have good life, even though you don't have it, not to worry about it. That's the best thing to we have to learn. Very difficult to some people their attitude to the society, and it had many experience about in Sri Lanka when I live. So, and we have to be aware any society that kind of things going on. So that's why people always arguing, fighting, all that things happening. So we have to be aware about it. So other divine thought, one was metta, second one is karuna, third one is mudita, fourth one is upekha. Many names called upekha too, the some people's person names. Upekha is wonderful things to practice, and very difficult to practice upekha, and equalness, equality treat your students, your children, parents to the children, and so this is the parents very difficult situation for the equally treat all the children, but they are equally treat for their children, and making blessing, making share their uh, wealth with them. And that's a good parent, they do it, otherwise the they are blaming to their parents. So upekha, living with the upekha, very important thing, and that's the kind of great quality we have to adapt to our life in order to peaceful life. Someone who practicing this kind of peaceful life, their life is very clean, and they are not to worry about their previous life, they are not worried about the present moment, they are not worried about the future, whether you after practice after death, whether you rebirth or not. There's a good benefit, you can rejoice while I'm living. I never done this kind of hatred, this kind of I didn't break the principles, and living all the time metta, karuna, mudita, upekha, this kind of quality I was practicing. You can be proud yourself that you can rejoice yourself this very life one day. And if you believe the rebirth, the next birth also, as a result, you're going to have a great, successful life. Not only for that, that's all impact to the our sansaric uh, uh, things to success our sansaric life in order to become enlightenment one day. That's kind of great quality, great principles, very helpful to us. Try to live without hatred. Try to live without anger, and they may not have any suffering. They can live comfortably. So that's the important things. Material things are temporarily maybe bring the conveniences, but not the entire happiness, because of Buddha taught us. Because even though this is a very good thing, so even the corona time, we know how important people we lost. So whether you are younger, middle age, or older, or whether you are wealthy person or poor person, no matter what, the impermanence is very we can feel it. Today we can feel it better than used to be. We can see that a lot of things are changing. So we are living with the changeable world, but we are expecting eternal things, but it never happened. That's why our practice is very important. And even though the Buddha visited to the Kesaputta people, and then they learn this thing. Finally, they ask, "We want to become a monkhood," and they were saying, "We discover everything. We learn truthfulness. We have really rejoice your discovering things properly. So was the things as it is. So we're very happy to become ordained under you." So that much the people were so helpful to the Buddha's visited to the uh, Kesaputta city. Mm. Kalama people, very wise people, they learn through the Buddha this kind of great thing. Not only for the Kalama people, that's very helpful today for us to uh, go through all that day-to-day problems going on in the world. That's very helpful to us to practice this Buddha's teaching. Mm. So today we concentrate about how to respect or how to uh, uh, things we understand as it is, how it is, and what kind of requirements, and wisely we have to look at it, that kind of thing. So then how do we practice um, for, for divine quality, and then we how it is practiced to the direction to meditation about uh, that all qualities, and how to uh, how effect anger and greediness and defilements, and how impact our life to negative forces. Someone who doesn't have uh, greediness and anger and uh, delusion, someone doesn't have it, that life how simple. So that kind of things very helpful to us to practice. So then Kalama said, yes, Kalamas, it is proper that you have doubt, that you have perplexity, for doubt has arisen in the matter which is doubtful. So that's why their city come many different kind of teachers. They had the doubt about what they are teaching. Now look your Kalamas, do not be led by reports or tradition or hearsays. So that's the kind of advice. Be not led by the authority of religious texts, nor by more logic or inference. So the another one is nor by considering appearances, nor by the delight in speculative opinions, nor by seeming possibilities, know by the idea, this is our teacher, but O Kalama, when you know for yourself that certain things are unwholesome and wrong and bad, then give them up. And when you know for yourself that certain things are wholesome and good, then accept them and follow them. The Buddha went even further. He told the bhikkhus that the disciple should examine even the Tathagata himself, so that he might fully convinced of the true value of the teacher who be followed. So that's wonderful thing. Even the Buddha said not to believe him. And this is a very wonderful freedom to think about truthfulness, inquiry mind. Whenever some things come to you, you have to really looking at and take a final decision. So I think this is the good time for your full moon day service as a learning Dhamma, practicing Dhamma, carry on the Dhamma. Dhamma is always blissful to your life, and with this full moon day observing, and we wish you happy and wonderful life with the power of the Buddha, power of his teaching, power of the noble Sangha may protect you, may have a blissful life forever. Having that thought, I'm reciting for all of you and long life and good health and success. Sabbitiyo vivajjantu sabbarogo vinasatu mate bhavatvantarayo sukhi digayuko bhava. We are sharing the merit with our dearest departed relatives and all divine beings. Akasatта ca bhummatta deva naga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chiran rakkantu loka sasanam. Akasatta ca bhummatta deva naga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chiran rakkantu dhamma desanam. Akasatta ca bhummatta deva naga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chiran rakkantu mam parang. Idam vo nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idam vo nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idam vo nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo.